contribution to science part 3, in that astronomy in India and chemistry in India, a survey of it. So let us start. The beginning of Indian astrology. The astrological found of India is the first in Andaman in the Paleolithic area, some about 12,000 years ago. Underline points are important. They are calendar sticks noting the waxing and waning of the moon by incising daily notches on a wooden stick. Ring stones found at Mohenjo-daro, the largest city of Indus Valley civilization, some about 2600 to 1900 BC, which exhibits rows of small drilled holes, have been interpreted as a calendrical device keeping a track of sunrise and different times of the year. The few thousands years ago, the Rig Veda, the oldest of four Vedas, which are Samved, Yajurved, Rig Veda, and Ayurveda, spoke of a year of 360 days, divided into 12 equal parts, and uses 5-year yuga or era, probably as a first attempt to recognize the lunar and solar years. It is called a solar eclipse, although in a metaphorical language, and it has recently been proposed that this 3,399 gods was actually a reference to the 18-year cycle of eclipses known as the Saros. A few centuries later, the Yajurveda consoled a lunar year of 354 days, and Rig Veda consists of 360 days, confusing point, and a solar year of 365 days, and divided the year into 6 ritus or season of 2 months each. The Yajurveda also gave the first year list of 27 nakshatras or lunar mansions, that is constellations, along the path of moon on the celestial sphere. The Vedanga Jyotisha or Ladaga, as it represents text, and if we may call it so, the first extant Indian scientific text, is that the length of sidereal day, either the time taken by the earth to complete one revolution with respect to any star, it uses 23 hours 56 minutes 4.6 seconds. With the confusing of correct value, it is 23 hours 56 minutes 4.091 seconds. The tiny difference is an indication of the precipitation in that year age. The Vedanga Jyotisha also discusses solstices, Ayanta, and equinoxes, Visuva, and uses two interlunar months, Adik Sama, to catch up with the solar calendar. In some ways, the text remains foundation of the Indian traditional lunisolar calendars. The early historical period, the second period, extended from the 3rd century BC to 1st century. This is also the period when huge scales of time were converted such as a day of Brahma or Kalpa of 4.32 billion years, which curiously comes close to the age of Earth, which is 4.5 billion years. The zodiac signs has 12 signs or rashis, first recorded into Yavana Jataka, which is written in 269 CE. The Siddhanta era. Beginning of the 5th century CE, this is Siddhanta era, when texts called Siddhantas are of the meaning Sanskrit word principle or conclusion. Aryabhatta 1 discussed the unit of time and features of celestial sphere. The earth has a rotation sphere hanging in space and produced the table of planets' mean positions. Aryabhatta also gave a correct explanation for the both lunar and solar eclipses and stated that the diameter of the earth is 1050 yojanas. The Varahamira Aryabhatta contemporary composed 505 CE, a collection of the astronomical text. One of the 5 texts, Surya Siddhanta, was revised later and became a fundamental text of Indian astronomy. 2 others expounded the rules of Greek astronomy. Later, a few years later, Brahmagupta, born in 598 CE, who lived in Mount Abu, mistakenly rejected Aryabhatta's view of Earth's rotating sphere. Brahmagupta also authorized a manual of astronomical calculations which remained popular for centuries, testified by Biruni, the Persian servant who came to the India in the 11th century as a part of Muhammad Ghazni's entourage, who wanted to know everything about India. Bhaskara II, B. 1014, better known as Bhaskaracharya, important innovations to both astronomical and mathematical techniques. Other post-Siddhanta developers, the famous and massive Yantra Mantra or Jantar Mantar observations built in early 18th century in the Maharaja of Jaipur, Sawai Jai Singh 1688 to 1743 represents a coverage between Indian, Arabic and European astronomy. Chapter 3, Chemistry in India, a survey. Alchemy was a semi-esoteric practice whose ultimate goal was to turn base metals into gold and discover elixir of life that could grant immortality. Other cultures, especially the Chinese and Indian, had alchemical traditions to their own, which included much knowledge of chemical process and techniques. Alchemistry is a type of chemistry in which we tend to find gold from different types of metals other than gold. Early chemical techniques. The Harappan metallurgical skills have been decided to the module of metallurgy in India. Pottery called for control of processing such as heat, fusion and evaporation. Bed making involved complex treatments of minerals including bleaching a bed with a solution of calcium carbonate, then heating it in a kiln so as to leave permanent with designs on it. Finally, crushed quartz, once fire produced phallans or synthetic material. It was then coated with silica, perhaps fused with soda, to which copper oxide was added to give it a shiny turquoise glaze. Faience was then shaped into various ornaments or figures. The additional iron oxide gave a greenish blue tint to glazed pottery, while managing oxide results in a maroon color. Such techniques survived the end of Indus Valley civilization and found their way to the later Ganges civilization. Pigments were another area for skilled chemical practices and were required for painting. Witness the famous Ajanta murals, as well as dyeing for cotton and other textiles. Interestingly, sources of pigments were not limited to organic materials such as extracts of specific flowers or fruits, but included minerals from carbon or lamp black to acidic sulfide yellow or copper acetic verdigris greenish blue in color. Atomism in Vaisesika. Vaisesika was one of the 6 philosophical systems of ancient India. The author of Vaisesika Sutras came to the known as Kannada literary later of particles and may have lived any of the after 500 BCE, which is unknown. In the system, all substances have been exaggerated form of smaller units called atoms, anu or parmanu, which were eternal, indestructible, spherical, supra, sensible, and in a motion of forces called interactions between them. The Vaisesika system identified 9 types of substances or drava, 1 to 5. The 5 elements: earth or prithvi, water or AP, fire or tejas, wind or vayu, ethers or akash. 6 time, kal, space or direction, dika, the mind, manas, spirit of knower, atman. Chemistry in early literature. Kautilya's Arthashastra is well-known text of governments and administration, authorized probably in the 3rd or 4th century during the Mauryan period. He was the helper of Chandragupta and also known as the Chanakya. The fundamental two texts Ayurveda of the Chakra Samhiti and Sushruta Samhiti. Varamitra's Bharat Samhiti and Encyclopedia or sorts composed in the 6th century CE has a chapter on the preparation of numerous perfumes out of 16 fundamental substances mixed in different proportions. Indeed, perfumery and cosmetic formed a major branch of chemical practices in classical and medieval India and medieval India. The Bharat Samhiti also includes the various recipes for the instances of duteous material to be applied on the roofs and walls of the house and the temples. Several texts such as Kama Sutra contain a list of the traditional 64 arts which an accomplished person was supposed to the master. Among them, interestingly, we find knowledge of God and silver coins, jewelry, gems, chemistry and mineralogy, color gems, beads, knowledge of mines and quarters, which testifies to the attention paid to such fields. So friends, this is our end. Hope you liked it. Please subscribe our channel and wait for the part 4. Bye bye. See you.